Greetings, this is Jim Lindsay. This is a CIS lesson in which I will teach you about a drawing program called Visio. This is more than likely this is a program that you've not used before. This is a Microsoft product. In some ways it's similar to Illustrator from Adobe, but it's quite different as well. So let's get started with this. What I'm going to have you do is there's a file. There are two files I would like for you to get from the Blackboard site, drawing.vsdx and your name drawingpractice.vsdx. These two files are available for download from the website, and once you get those to your computer, you'll just open them up. And when you open them on a computer that has Visio through the operating system's file association will know what to do with it. So I'm going to use drawing.vsdx here as my opening one. Click on it, and this is what the program looks like. It's probably going to open up and look more like that as you open this file from a lab computer. All right, let me give you an introduction to the environment here. Again, the files that you create, the drawings that you create with Visio are going to end in a file extension of .vsdx, Victor Sierra Delta X-ray. And so that would be, if you saw a file extension like that, you'd know, hey, this is a Visio drawing. There are other file extensions that you can get from Visio as well, but that's the one that you guys will be creating and using as you learn how, as you complete this project. So that's the one you want to be looking for. If you don't have Visio on your computer, there's basically a little program you can download from Microsoft that's free. It's called the Visio Viewer, and with the Visio Viewer you can look at a VSDX file, but you can't do any modifications. That's not going to help you guys because I want you to be drawing with it. What that means for you is that you're going to have to go to a WKU computer lab to do this work. All of the Western Kentucky University computer labs include Visio. It's version 2013. Easiest thing to do would be go to mass media, and they have that great big computer lab, and you just log in. In the lower left corner you get the little start button down there. I'm using Windows 8.1, but those computers have Windows 7, but they have the little start button. You click on that, you go to the folder for Office 2013, and you'll see Visio as a choice in there. So this is the program. This part up here is the ribbon, of course, and these are the tabs, which you guys, some of these you're used to seeing from the other applications. This area over here is an area where we can put things called stencils, and we're not going to need those because we're drawing from scratch, but and I'm teaching you to use Visio in this case for the exception. 95% of the time when you're going to use Visio, what you do is you start Visio and you pull up some sort of template, and it may have shapes for a map, it may have shapes for an organization chart, it may have shapes for a computer network, and what you would do is you would drag and drop shapes from the stencil area over here onto the drawing page and arrange those accordingly. In a few instances you want to be able to draw your own stuff, and that's what we're going to be doing in this lesson and what I want you to do for the logo project. So I'm teaching you first the exception, and if you like this stuff, I teach this product in a CIS class called CIS 320, and it's pretty fun. It's called Personal Information Technology, and we spend a few weeks learning how to do a lot of stuff with this program. So if you like it, there's a course that you can take where you can learn how to do a whole bunch of things with this drawing program. But there's your ribbon up at the top. This is the stencil area. This is your workspace. Down here, this tells you the different pages of the drawing. This has many pages in this drawing. There's page 2, there's page 3. I'm left clicking on these. There's page 4, and so you can navigate that way. If you want to zoom in or out with your view, you have some options. there's a zooming button over here. You can zoom in that way. But what's more convenient is to use the mouse and the keyboard. Try this on your machine. It's really cool. If you hold down Shift and Control at the same time, hold on Shift and Control, you'll see that my pointer turns from a pointer to Shift and Control, a little magnifying glass. And I can zoom in here, and you'll see that the zooming, it's going to, at this point I'm at 800%. You can also move the page at that point. Again, I'm going to hold down Control and Shift. This time I'm going to click and hold down the right mouse button, and the pointer turns to a little hand, and I can nudge the page around or pan as I can zoom in further, and I can very easily manipulate what's being displayed on the screen. And so that's the environment. And then I'll just go ahead and zoom back out so you can see the whole page again. I could Shift Control and right click to zoom out, or I can come down here. Right, you can see at this point it's at 1,707% magnification. That's crazy. If you did that on your Word applications or your Excel applications, you'd be so far in there that everything would be all grainy and pixelated. But because this is a vector-based diagramming program, it doesn't do that. Every line that you see out here is drawn through basically it uses mathematical algorithms to draw these maps on our screen over and over again. It's a real CPU intensive process, but you get very crystal clear pictures, and you could output this the size of a postage stamp, or you could output this as the size of a billboard, and in both cases it would be crystal clear because it's using this vector-based versus raster-based graphics. So it's really cool stuff. I'll come back out to the page level, just click on this and say I want to go to the whole page, and there it goes. So there's my whole page again. So there's a short introduction about the environment. Again, you've got the ribbon up here, the stencils over here. We don't need the stencils, so I'm just going to, there's a little arrow right there. I can minimize the shapes window. Just, boop, get rid of that. And if I want to make this area with the pages a little bit bigger, I can come over here and change it, but I'll just leave it like it is. Okay, so how do I draw? Well, first I'm going to show you how to draw rectangles, squares, ovals, and circles. Then we'll go to page 2 and we'll do drawing of basic lines and arcs. Then we're going to jump over to page 3 and draw some free form sort of shapes. In page 4 we're going to work with some duplication and moving things. In page 5 we're going to work with aligning and distributing our shapes on a page. And we'll also do alignment and distribution on page 6. We're going to skip page 7, and on page 8 I'll show you some neat stuff with regard to the center of gravity of shapes on your pages and how you rotate those. It's pretty cool. This should take about 30 minutes. And again, I'm going to go through and show you, but please make use of the pause button because this is a video and you can pause the video and go and try it. So have the video, play the video for a few minutes, then pause it, go and work with the drawing.vsdx file that you download from the Blackboard site and try these things yourself. So I'm going to go to page 1. Let's start here. Well, as you look at the ribbon, you'll see I'm on the Home tab. We're going to spend the whole time here on the Home tab. There's this area for tools, and specifically we're going to use a whole bunch of these guys right here. I clicked the little down arrow next to this rectangle. Currently my pointer tool is active, that's why it looks like a pointer, but I can select a rectangle tool, an ellipse tool, which is an oval or circle, line, freeform, arc, and pencil. So these are different drawing tools I have available. I'm going to select the rectangle tool, and when I come to my drawing area, note that the mouse pointer is now turned to a little plus sign with a rectangle next to it. And so with that active, with the rectangle tool active, I'm just going to come to where I want the upper left corner to be, hold down my mouse, and draw a rectangle. When I let go, it draws my rectangle. So ta-da, there it is. I'll go back to my pointer tool. You'll see there's my rectangle I drew. I could move that around the page, but that's just a simple shape that got drawn on the page because I activated the rectangle tool, and I'll do the same thing down here to draw a square, but to make this exactly proportional, to make this so it's a perfect square, I can do something by basically I can constrain the tool so it makes a perfect square. You do that by holding down Shift. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and you'll see that the rectangle on the screen turns to a square. So again, I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and you see it goes to a square. Then I draw my square very quickly. Let go, and there's my square. So I can go back to my pointer tool. There's my square right there. And that's how you draw rectangles and squares. You activate the rectangle tool. If you want the perfect square, you hold down the Shift key. You do the same exact thing for ovals and circles. That comes from the ellipse tool. So I'm going to activate the ellipse tool, come down here. What makes this a little tricky is that you have to start above and to the left of where you want your ellipse or oval to be. So again, with the ellipse tool active, starting a little bit to the left and above of where I want it, I'm going to hold down my left mouse button and start to draw this oval, and there it is. So that's an oval. Down here I'll draw a circle, and that same thing I did to constrain the rectangle tool to be a perfect square, that also applies to the ellipse tool. If I hold down Shift, watch how on the pointer, the oval becomes a perfect circle. And then in that case, I can draw a circle, put that on my screen, and there you go. So that's all there is to drawing rectangles, squares, ellipses or ovals, and circles. You use either the rectangle tool or the ellipse tool to get those jobs done. So that's the first page. Let me jump over to the second. And on the second, we work with basic lines and arcs. So this is going to be similar but a little different than what we just learned a second ago. You activate the tools the same way. I'm going to go to the line tool this time. And with the line tool active, you see that my pointer turns to a little plus sign, and then there's a little line next to it. And then I can just draw lines. And so I'll draw some lines on my screen here. And with this drawing tool, what the shift button will do, it also constrains, but what it does when I have it depressed at this point, it makes it so whatever line I draw is at a 45-degree angle from the starting point. So if I want to make sure I have an exactly flat line, I can hold down the Shift key. There's an exactly perfectly flat line, and that's how you make lines. That's not real exciting, so let me switch over to my arc tool for you, which is right down here. What the arc tool does is it lets you draw, curved lines. And what I'd ask you to do, and if we were in a classroom and covering this, I'd ask somebody to tell me about when you go fishing. When you fish, if you have a fishing pole and you want to cast your line to 25 feet out in the water, you don't just point your fishing rod at it and press the button on your reel. You have to cast. You have to there's a motion with your arm, and it makes an arcing motion, and it makes the line come out, and then in an arc it travels to the point in the water where it's going to land, and then it goes into the water. You do the same thing here. If I want to have a arc that looks like that, I have to have that motion in my mouse. It's called gesture recognition. And so I'm going to try and draw an arc like that. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but let me try that. So I'm going to hold on my left mouse button, come over here. I'm getting a pretty good arc. That's good. And so I'll try and make one that looks like this. So I'm going to hold on my left mouse button. See something? Well, I didn't move my gesture just right. So let me try it again. I'm going to try and get one like this. And it's not working for me. But so when that's the case, if I want one that faces the other way, all I have to do is go to the pointer tool, grab this guy, and then move it. I'll move this end. It's being stubborn. There we go. And so now I have one arc that faces, basically faces up, and another arc here that's facing down like this. And once you have something like this in place, what's kind of cool is you can take these guys, you can start to draw things like an eye. Let me draw an eye of a human being here, for example. Make those kind of close together. And I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to use that Shift and Control. Zoom in a little bit here. Move these guys up. And I'll take this guy and move him a little bit closer to there. This one, move it down a little bit closer to there. And then with the circle, or the ellipse tool we learned about a second ago, I'll come to this thing and start to draw like the iris of an eye. Let's say I wanted to put some color into that. All I have to do is come up to the fill here. Say I want to make a green eye. So there's a green eye, and of course in the middle of your eye is the black part, your pupil, right? So I'll get another circle here, draw that, and then draw another circle. I have to make sure the ellipse tool is active. It's being stubborn. So I'll draw another circle here, and I'll make it black. With that selected, come over to the fill, make it black, and then go back to my pointer tool, put that on the eye, and then I could draw things like eyelashes and all that sort of stuff. But you can see, as I zoom back out here, that's a pretty good looking eye. And so if you were going to draw a face, if you were going to draw just an eye, that's one way you could do it. And so that is, zoom to where you can see the whole page here. Working with Page Tool, working with the Arc tool, working with the lines, working with the ellipse, working with the rectangle tool, lots of shapes that you can draw. So that's kind of our starting point right there. Now, if you haven't already, pause the video and go over and try these things and try and make like two eyes. And I'm just going to take all of that. What I did, I held down my left mouse button, selected all of the things. I'm just going to now move those over here. And with those all selected, if I do something like this, if I go to copy that, and then copy those guys, and hold on one second, got all of those selected, hold down Control, go over here, I now have two eyes, which is pretty cool. So see if you can make a pair of eyes. Once you're done with that, then come back to the video and we'll advance to page 3 and work with these freeform lines. Okay, welcome back. Now I'm going to go to my drawing tools, and this time I'm going to select the freeform tool, and we're going to use the freeform tool and the pencil tool on this page. These two tools, the freeform tool and the pencil tool, take advantage of that gesture recognition that we mentioned a moment ago with the arcs. And so what they allow you to do, I'm going to go with the freeform tool. When I get on a page, you'll see that my pointer looks like a little plus sign and a squiggly line. I'm going to zoom in here on my page so I can see this top line here very easily. I'm going to try and draw this squiggly line here, and as I move my mouse, as I move up or down, the gesture recognition kicks in and it starts to make the curves that I'm making with my mouse. And so I'm going to hold down my left mouse button. Here I go. I'm going to start to get up to the point where I need to bend the line, bend down. Again, I'm holding down my left mouse button as I do this. I come up to the top of the circle. It's not perfect. That's okay. I'm going to let go, and with it still active, it's hard to see, but look on your computer. I'm going to zoom in here further. There are little blue dots, and if you hover over the top of those blue dots, those are called vertex points, and V-E-R-T-E-X, vertex points. You can move those. And so with your pointers tool still active, let me undo that. With my pointer tool still active, it's going to be difficult. I can take these vertex points and start to make my shape fit exactly the whatever shape I want. And we're using a template here that has lines that we're trying to mimic. If you're drawing from scratch, you would be just drawing this off of what's in your mind. But because we know we want to make this thing look exactly like that shape, we can zoom in, move these vertex points, and make the line really conform to the little shape we're trying to make. So try this out. This is your freeform tool. And once you've done that, then go back to your pointer tool, take a look at your work, and that's a curvy line. So I love this tool. Let me scoot on out just a little bit more, and I'm gonna make a starfish. And what's neat about this freeform tool is that, and this has been a recent innovation in Visio. If you use the freeform tool and you have the beginning and the end touch each other, the resulting shape can then be filled in with color. So for example, let's say I'm thinking of SpongeBob SquarePants, and there's not SpongeBob, but his buddy, the starfish, I think Alvin or whatever his name is. If you wanted to draw that guy, Alfred or Alvin, so I'm going to go to my freeform tool, and I'm going to try and draw. And he's a shape of a star, right? So I'm going to go up here. It's not a perfect thing, but come over here. Then we have an arm right here. And we get a leg. We get another leg here. We come over here. Now what's important is the end. I want to make sure I touch where I started. And I think I got it. So if I've done that correctly, I can then go to my fill here, and I think the dude is sort of pink, if I remember right. And so I then have a pink starfish. I can go back to my pointer tool, move this around my page, and then I could put like a shirt on here and a pair of pants and eyes, and I can start to draw, the starfish from SpongeBob SquarePants. But what makes that possible, again, is that ending. Like when you get to the end, make sure that your end touches the start, and then your resulting solid shape can be filled in. If you miss that, you can't fill it in with color. And so that's a real challenge when you first begin to learn to use this software, is getting those two to match up, to meet at the end. But try that out, and I'm going to delete the starfish here. We'll just delete him. Let me show you the pencil tool. This is a neat tool. It has not a lot of utility, but when you need it, it's great. So the pencil tool is kind of a mix between the line tool and the arc tool. And where you want to use it is basically, I'm going to zoom in here to where you can see this shape pretty close up. As you use this, make sure that you basically are going to be picking up right where you left off. So for example, I'm going to make this compound shape right here. It's essentially a straight line and then two arcs that are connected. And the way I'm going to do it, you can do this a number of ways, but the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to first start with a line. So I'm going to just, holding down my left mouse button, I'm going to draw this part of the line. When I get to the end, you'll see that there's the ending point. And if I get right over the top of it, you see my little pencil disappears. And then I'm just going to draw another line up to this point right here. I'm going to let go. You see there's an ending point up there. Again, if I get to the end point, my pencil disappears. And I'll draw to the end right here. And then you'll see that there's a vertex point in the middle of my line, right? If I came over here, there's one over here too. But what I can do with these vertex points is start to push this out. And so if you have some sort of compound shape that you want to draw, sometimes the pencil tool works out to be the best one. Instead of trying to freeform all of that, that would be difficult to freeform that and not get any kind of squiggliness to it. But with the pencil tool, it looks really tight. It's nice and straight. Go back to my pointer tool, and it treats that whole thing as one big shape. And so there you go. So that's an introduction to the pencil tool. So you now have some experience with the rectangle, ellipse, line, arc, freeform, and pencil tool. Let me zoom back out a little bit. If you haven't already done so, pause the video, go and make sure you can do that. Make sure you can use this pencil tool and try and draw that starfish we did a moment ago and fill it in with color. And then I'll meet you back here on page 4. Okay, welcome back. What I'm going to do on this page, I want to show you some of the duplication options that you have with Visio. They're not unique to Visio, but in Visio you find more utility for them than you do in the other applications, I think. And so let me show these to you. Like, we have a circle here that's on the page, and this little dotted line makes it look like basically this circle has, maybe it's a ball, and it's rolled and bounced off, it's rolled off a table and bounced when it hit the floor. It traveled that path right there. If you wanted to make a copy of this circle, what could you do? And if we were in a classroom, usually the first response is you could do a copy and paste. Yes, you could. You could take this and you could either right click it and copy, and then a right click and paste. That would work. Or you can use like the keyboard shortcuts, like a Control C and a Control V. That's a way that you can do a copy. I'll take that second copy and put it over here. But what's neat in Visio, especially, is that you can just, and again, it's not unique to Visio, but in Visio, if you wanted to do some copying, it's real common to use the Control key. It's a CTRL button. And so with that item selected, I'm just going to hold down Control and then just hold my left mouse button and start to pull this. And because I'm continuing to go off what I did a second ago, you'll see that it's doing all these shapes for me. So all I'm doing is holding down Control and starting to make a bunch of copies. And so let's say you wanted to make raindrops on your screen, or snowflakes. Well, you need a bunch of those, right? So you start doing like this, and then very quickly you have, and I'll zoom out to where you can see more than the whole page here, but very quickly I made a whole bunch of circles. And all I did was hold down Control and left clicked, and then started to copy stuff. So let me get all of those with the exception of that one and delete them. Another neat feature with Visio is you have the F4 button, and I'm just going to make this circle smaller. I'm going to hold down Shift while I resize this, and by holding down Shift it makes my resizing exactly proportional. Zoom in here and put this guy down here towards the corner. I'd like for you to pretend, let's say I'm going to make a picture of the Parthenon, and I'm sure you've seen pictures of the Parthenon. It's a famous building over in Greece. There's a replica of the Parthenon down in Nashville. It's I don't think it's to scale. It might be a little bit smaller, but it has a bunch of columns all around the outside of it. It's a really pretty building. And let's say I worked for the city of Nashville for their tourism department. I wanted to make a picture of the Parthenon. Well, what I could do to get my columns exactly right is use copying and then use the F4 button to accomplish what I want. So let's say that I'll make it colored so you can see it better. So let's give it let's make it red. So I want to make a copy of that column and come this way. So I'm just going to select it, hold down Control, and then I'm just going to come over to the right, say about that far. And now that I've done that once, if I hold down the F4 button, or press the F4 button, it does that for me over and over again. All I'm doing is hitting F4, and so now I have a whole bunch of columns exactly spaced. They're exactly spaced correctly. They're all the same size. And now let's say I needed a row of those up on the other side of the building. All I have to do is I'll go make sure my pointer tool is good and is activated. Select those guys, and then I'm just going to hold down Control, and I'm going to move up the page here. And so now I have columns on the top, columns on the bottom. Let's say I needed some more of these columns over here on the side. Hold down Control again, select them. This time I'll just rotate them, move them over this way, and because I haven't deselected them, they haven't gone away yet. And then I'm going to take one more, I'm going to hold down Control one more time, drag these guys over here. And it's not perfect. What I need to do now, it dragged the whole thing instead of copying it. I'm going to hold down Control and copy again. Here we go. So now what I need to do is I need to clean up. I have a couple of extras. I get rid of that guy, get rid of that guy, get rid of that guy, get rid of that guy. But you'll see very quickly, I just was able to draw the columns for my Parthenon very quickly, and they all look the same. And I could just work on getting these lined up and arranged. And as you're going to see from alignment in the next two pages, we could very quickly get this perfectly aligned and perfectly distributed. Very cool. So as we learned about copying from the ball as it bounced on the page, and the F4 button, pretty neat stuff from Visio here. So let's next move to alignment. If you haven't done what I just did, pause the video and do that, and meet me on page 5, please, so we can work on alignment. Okay, what we're going to do with aligning and distributing are two different things. When you align things, you line up items based on like their centers or their left edge or their right edge or their top or their bottom. But they could, even after you've aligned them, they might be like really unevenly distributed. Distribution is when you take several items and then evenly space them out over a space, evenly put an equal amount of distance between each of them from start to end. That's what distribution is. And so let me show you how to do both with Visio here. What you're going to find is that the order in which you select things matters. So for example, if I'd like for this, you'll see there's an octagon, a rectangle, and then like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a 7-sided deal here on a page. I don't know what you call that, a septagon or something. We want to work with the alignment of these things, but if I want this middle one to be the object in which these other two react to or respond to, I need to select this first. So the first one that you select is called the reference object. So holding down my shift key, I'm going to select the rectangle first, then I'll get the other two, and as I select them, you'll see that it basically starts drawing a border around them. But the one that you select first always has the thickest border. You'll see that my rectangle has the thickest one. I'm going to reselect, and this time I'll choose the septagon first. And then these guys, you'll see that this one has a thicker border, and then that's a little bit skinnier. So the first one you select is the reference object. So I'm going to hold shift, I'll get these guys. And then all I have to do to align them, you'll see on the Home tab, there's this Arrange area, and there's this button for Align. So I'm going to go to Alignment, and let me start to do things like let's align their centers. And you'll see that the purple and the yellow objects move to the center of the page, so they'd be aligning their centers to the red one. If I go to their rights, let's go actually to their middles. The purple and the yellow moved on the pages so that their middles would line up with the red ones, and their bottoms and tops and so on. So that's alignment. Again, just select the order. So let's say I want the purple to be the reference object. So if I select them in that way and then go back to that alignment and then do things like their centers or their tops or their middles, they react accordingly. So that's alignment. Distribution, in contrast to that, is actually, I'll go to page 7. We have page 7. It has this kind of cattywampus looking, these are flowchart shapes. That's another type of drawing that you can easily make with Visio. But let's say I wanted to take all these shapes on the page and I wanted them to be, I want these 3 processes, the orange processes, I want those to be aligned directly underneath this decision here, and then I want all the shapes on the page to be equally distributed. How do you do that? Well, you could go about it a number of ways. I'll show you one, but first I'll work on distribution. So I'm going to select these yellow processes and this orange decision. So the way I did that, I just held down, I've got my pointer tool active, I hold down my left mouse button and select the shapes I want to work with. It's the top row here, and then I go to position, come to distribute horizontally, and the way that you can maybe remember that is a horse's back is flat, right? So that's the horizontal part. So distribute horizontally. If I wanted to distribute those vertically, there's really no vertical distribution to be working here. We'll do that in a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and select distribute horizontally. It evenly spaced those out, and so now all I have to do with these guys is get these 3 processes right here to line up underneath that one, and that's alignment, right? And since this one is the reference object, I select it first, hold down shift and get these guys, come over here to alignment, and align their centers. They move over. Great. And because I want them to be distributed as well, I'm just going to select all 4 of those. Go to position, distribute vertically, because we're talking about straight up and down versus flat. We do vertical distribution, and there you go. You get equal distribution horizontally and vertically, and you get these guys aligned underneath that one right there. So that's alignment, that's distribution, and you access the alignment and the distribution tools from this part of the ribbon, the arranged part of the home tab of the ribbon. So lastly, let's finish our, if you haven't done so, pause the video, go and get your drawing looking like this, and make sure you're comfortable with alignment from there. And what we're going to finish with is right here on page 8. So I'll meet you back here in one moment. Okay, this is just, I want to show you something that's it doesn't have a tremendous amount of utility, but it's interesting. And so I'm going to select with my pointer tool active. I've selected this airplane. This airplane is surrounding it's outside of the globe here, right? Let's say we wanted to make this airplane orbit this planet Earth here. How could you do that? Well, if you select the object, you'll see that there's a rotation handle, and you guys are familiar with that from what you've seen in Word and PowerPoint and Excel. And so you can take objects, for example, and make them turn. And if we rotate this guy, all he's going to do is just spin in place over the top of the planet. That's not what I want. I want this guy to actually turn around. I want the center of gravity to be right here at the center of the planet. Well, as you zoom in here, you'll see that there's actually a center of gravity, and you can adjust that. So with my pointer tool active, what I can do, I can just grab this center of gravity and move it. So let me zoom out just enough to where you can see the plane and this the center of the planet. But I'm going to take the center of gravity, just left click, and put it down here. And so now what happens when I do the rotation, the plane goes around the planet. And so if you ever have an instance where you want to manipulate a shape and change its rotation, all you have to do is select it, and then with regard to its rotation, grab that center of gravity and place it wherever you need it to go, and then it will rotate accordingly. So it's something that, and again, you can do that in other applications too, but it's just especially useful in Visio, and so wanted to show that to you. But we've covered some great stuff, I think. We've talked about the environment of Visio. We've talked about the drawing tools of Visio, your rectangle, ellipse, line, freeform, arc, and pencil tools. We've talked about ways that you can duplicate shapes. We've talked about alignment, and we've talked about distribution right there, and we've even talked about the center of gravity and rotation of shapes. So using all of those, I hope you will be able to tackle the logo project. I'm sure you will be, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So thanks for your time and attention. Hi, this is Jim one more time, and I mentioned in the beginning that there was a your name drawing practice.vsdx file, and I didn't show you what to do with it. I'm going to open it up. This is just a practice file, and if we did this session in a classroom, I would have you have a competition now to see you can draw these things faster. You'll see that there are 3 pages here, and these are just 3 different things for you to practice on. You can know your rectangle tools, your line tool, the ellipse tool, the line tool, the freeform tool, and then use these 2, and a pencil tool is really good for this one. And then over here, instead of the combination of all those, you can draw that person's face. So if you'd like to, this your name drawing practice.vsdx is a file you can use to practice your drawing skills. And once you've done that, you'll be able to really hit those logos for the logo project very, very easily. So that's that. So sorry for missing that the first time. Thanks again for your time and attention.